Hey guys, systems part 2. Right?
Systems part 2. So kind of to recap on last week, this podcast, we got a lot of information out of it. Tons.
Blew our minds.
And so we want to regurgitate it to you guys. And we hope you find as much value in it as we did. Because I know when it came to systems, we can always tweak our systems. We can always get better. But you can't tweak it if you don't have it, right?
Absolutely. How do you change any nuances or adjust or edit something that doesn't exist?
Doesn't exist. Or are you just every time doing something different, right?
Yeah.
So I think last week we briefly touched about first system, time management.
Do you have a system for managing your calendar?
Yeah. Yep. And then second was a system for managing our emotions, because this industry is crazy. All industries right now are all over the place.
Self-care, working out, meditating, all that stuff.
And then I think it was 3. God, you're making me put me on the spot on these ones. I think 3 was marketing, persistent marketing, or consistent marketing and outreach, right?
And lead generation, right? And then 4 was, do you have a system for managing your high value relationships? So VIP customers, big referring partners of yours. And 5 was prospecting.
So, do we have a system for that?
Well, how's that different from lead generation? But prospecting new verticals in your business. So sphere of influence, past clients, current clients. But what are you doing to bring new people into that?
Well, when I think of marketing and lead generation, I think of, what is your consistent outreach to your database? That's kind of when I think of marketing and lead generation. Do you have your newsletter set? Do you have your content calendar set that you're doing a post every day or stories? That's when I kind of think of
how are you staying top of mind?
How are you staying? So for systems of marketing and lead gen, I think of how do you stay top of mind with your current relationships, and then the prospecting is how do you bring new relationships in?
Exactly. So I like what Tom says about, because system, sometimes the word system, it just doesn't mean much to me. But he says plays that you run in your business. So systems allow you to consistently run winning plays.
Right.
So identify, sometimes just taking a look at your business and what's worked and what's yielded clients and what activities have generated revenue in your business. Take those plays and run them again. Run them until they don't work, right?
I mean, I think of football coaches, right?
Yeah.
They all have playbooks. They all know. So they have plays that have worked that they know can be winning plays. So they always say, hey, let's do this play. That's why they study other teams' plays. So they know what the plays they're doing. So studying what are other realtors doing that are working for them out there. I would that's how I would use my mind to compare that. Is like, well, if they're running plays that are working, what are they doing that's working?
Well,
That's why coaches in football watch other teams and study them so highly, is so they can see what's working, so they know how to make their plans.
Exactly. And in a time right now where it's not, escrows aren't falling from the sky in the real estate market as we find it today, we have a little bit more time to get in there and scrutinize what we're doing, what systems are working, getting rid of what isn't, and bringing in and scaling what is working.
Trying something different, seeing what's not working, raising what is. So getting into systems part 2.
Systems part 2,
because we didn't want to bore you guys with all the system stuff for number 1. So we wanted to continue. But he had 14 systems that he said should be implemented in our industry as a business. And this goes for escrow, for title, for lenders. I mean, I give it to the lenders because I feel like they have some top-notch systems, because they have to stay top of mind with not only the agents, but with the clients and everybody else in the transaction. So they got massive systems in
reporting
place.
Their communication throughout from contract to close is huge, and a lot of them have it nailed. So the first one, extending from last week to this week, would be, what is your system for follow-up and appointment setting for short-term and long-term buyer and seller? Follow-up, like the pipeline, right?
I like that. So, what is your follow-up cadence? Like, if you have somebody that you met at an open house, or you have somebody that's interested, what's your follow-up? How do you get to the appointment? What's the cadence of outreach through your CRM? Do you have an email that goes out automatically? Do they get an automatic text reminding them of the appointment?
Right.
Do they get a phone call 2 days before the appointment? I heard one of our agents, he actually sends a postcard before the appointment.
Wow.
Kind of like dentist, or I know my vet, she'll send me little postcards, like reminders of appointments coming up, or reminders I need to get shots. So sending a postcard, is that go out first? And then do you have an email that goes out after it? Then do you have a text and a phone call? Because let's be honest, we got to really hound these people for appointments sometimes, because how many times have you been like, oh yeah, we'll do that.
We'll do the thing. Yeah.
And then it does not happen, and because there's no follow up, and we know fortunes in the follow up. So
I mean, some of these they come at the backyard barbecue.
Yeah.
They come at where you run into them at the gym. Hey, we got to sell the condo, and then so what? From that origination point, what system do you have in place to text, call, drip until you are at coffee or at the kitchen table signing the contract? Yeah. It's imperative, because if we leave it up to our memory, I don't know about you, but that's not a reliable source for me.
What I did yesterday half
I
the
know.
time.
What day is this?
That's not going to work for me.
Exactly.
Actually, my memory is really good sometimes.
So and buyers engage largely digitally, right? So buyers are DMing you, buyers are texting you, buyers are responding in various ways digitally, and sometimes it never makes it from the DM into the real world for us.
Oh, I know.
So it's got to the lead has to get out of wherever domain it originates into your pipeline review, pipeline follow-up, so that it ends up bringing revenue, because so much is lost in that in-between.
Well, and I feel like, in the DMs, it's hard too, because you don't always consistently sit in your DMs all the time. So I think of the meeting yesterday, I made the joke that I'm like, I'm so glad we finally have each other's numbers, because we're not DMing half the time anymore.
Right.
We were able to connect. So having a system for that, I think, is so crucial. It's one of the most important systems I know we have in our business, and I feel like as any salesperson, you have to have a system for the follow-up, because that's where the fortune's at.
Exactly. What was the next one?
Number 2. What was the next one? What is your system for following up? Is it short-term and long-term buyers?
No, this one was launching listings and managing sellers was the next one on. Oh, wait. Yeah. Sorry, guys. We took notes. Real people, real time.
Our memories aren't super great. I have to have notes to help me remember. We're not reading off a teleprompter.
Exactly. So launching listings and managing the sellers. He talks about over communicating with the sellers, talking about
the don't fire me letter.
Yeah, the don't fire me letter, but you don't call it the don't fire me plan, right?
You don't tell your clients this is my don't fire me plan.
You just update them without them requesting an update, because we know when we call into a client, it's 2 or 3 minutes. The client calls into us, that's 10, 15, 20 minutes, and usually you're backpedaling. So there's no such thing as over communicating when you're dealing with the highest asset, the highest value asset in somebody's life. So having a process for that, having update pipeline reviews and updates on Mondays or Tuesdays, talking about how many views, how many saves, how many people came through the weekend, how many showings, all that.
Well, I think in this market too right now that we're in, I feel like that is a pretty cool system or tactic that somebody should be using if they have a seller, because as we know, market time's a little bit longer. We're at 50 days. Sellers are kind of freaking out because they're not used to that. All they've heard for the past years is houses are flying off the shelf. My house is sitting for 2 weeks. What's wrong with it? What's happening? And we just have to have the education with our clients right now. This is where the market's at. And I think the don't fire me letter, or the don't fire me system that we call it, is great, because it's over communicating. It's showing them that you're still being active. It's showing them, hey, we got this many saves on Zillow and this many Redfin saves. We had this many people through the open house this weekend. I made X amount of calls to everybody in my database, all of the neighbors on who might have somebody interested. So it's showing your sellers, too, that you're doing more work for them.
It's like bringing the answer to them before they've asked the question. That if you can do that and stay ahead of their questions and delivering the answers before the question, I think of us, we get an open order. We thank them for the open order. We notify them the prelim is underway. We notify them the prelim has been delivered. We offer up any answers to questions, and that the PR is pretty vanilla, or there's a gnarly one on there we might want to get out in front of with the Superior Court involved, et cetera, et cetera. So we try to see around the bend on the transaction and bring that information to the agent before it's a big problem.
Right.
Same thing for if you're an agent, notifying the seller, hey, they're
over
communicating and really shining a big bright light on the process, so at all times they feel confident that you're watching, somebody's manning the station.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And you're not just putting the sign in the, what was it, the 3 Ps it used to be?
Yeah, put a sign in the yard, put it on the MLS,
and pray that someone's going to make an offer.
The 3 Ps, baby, is not a strategy.
That is not but I feel like this is a really good strategy. I think this is something that definitely should be used in this kind of market, of this kind of environment, because it's showing your sellers, hey, I'm still putting in the work. I'm still doing things, and give them a weekly update of, hey, this is how many saves we have. This is how many people came through the open house. This is how many people I've talked to about your property. Yeah. And keeps you in action too.
It's just like when you're marketing your new listing or you're coming soon or even an open house to past client database sphere of influence, whether it's on social or emailing your database about your new listing. Look, you're bringing an opportunity to them and over communicating the opportunity. But what does it show them? It shows them I'm working. It shows them I'm active. And it brings and keeps you top of mind, right, throughout the whole process. So it's very similar in your system to communicating with your database, with your referral partners, etc. Is the same thing, keeping the seller apprised of the situation and just giving them the facts, because people can, if they have all the facts, they tend to have more peace of mind than if they're constantly guessing and chasing us around for the answers, right?
Yeah, totally. So I think that's important. How do you have a system of managing like your buyers and your sellers? Like that has to be a documented system that it should be repeatable every time. And again, we know every personality is different. You know, there's going to be people in certain situations where that system might not work for them. But if you don't have a system, you can't tweak it.
Well, it's different every time, and sometimes you do this, and sometimes you don't. It's better just have it written down like a checklist.
Standard operating procedure.
Yeah, and it's the next one is really important because buyers have so much more leverage in this market. Is onboarding and processing your pipeline of buyers. So how is it that you go about sitting with them and talking about your process for buying, getting the buyer broker signed? How do you show properties? Do you show up with the MLS printed out and saying, this is what we're seeing today? Or do you have some other method of doing that? What's your process? And then just set a process, and it can always be changed. It can always be augmented later, but have a process so it's the same every time. It takes the brain out of it.
Well, I think it just makes it so much simpler when you have, like, I think of, you know, when we have a new client, we have an onboarding standard procedure. We sit with them. We have checklist of things that we are able to offer. We listen to what their needs and wants are and how we can help. And then I kind of have a standard operating procedure after every meeting, because it's a new client, we'll say new buyer, new client.
Yeah.
And we have an operating procedure of everything that they get as soon as we leave that meeting. They get our breakthrough broker, they get our tools, they get everything signed up.
We don't have to think about it.
Don't have to think about it. I have templates. It's done. It's ready to go. I just have to sign them up on it. Yeah. But it's a standard operating way where it's each one I don't have to think of like, oh, what did I say here? Or what did we do here? What do they get? So I think of the same concept for buyers, having that same process every single time. That way you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time.
Yeah, well, it's it's like knowing the script, right? But you're the actor in this particular movie of showing buyers houses and stuff. You can inject the energy and you can kind of go off script a little bit, but you can only do that if you really know the script, right? It's like playing the basic chords on a guitar. Now you can go all Jimi Hendrix with it and get riffing like crazy, but you can't do that if you don't know the basics.
Basics, yeah. When I think of too, like, what's your operating procedure for your buyers of getting them in contact with the lender? Like, having a standard procedure of when you sit down of like, look, we got to get you pre-qualified. We got to get you ready. The next step is we're going to get our lender involved. They're going to see what we can afford to go look at. Our next step is here. This, and also too, I think it's easier to educate them because they're coming to you as the professional. Right. So if you set the tone of the education process of, hey, this is all the steps that we're going to go through and this is how it's going to happen, they're kind of just like, you take the wheel. Like, you tell us what to do. Like, you have the system. You have
like, you're the pro. If you don't have the plan, who does?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, who's driving the bus?
Yeah. No, you don't want us driving that. No. Just kidding. I'm totally just kidding. So, after having that, after onboarding, I think this one's really important too.
Critical.
This one's pretty, you can delegate it, but what is your system for managing your escrows and your transactions? Like, that
contract to close.
Pretty critical in our business. So.
Absolutely. I mean, TCs, escrow companies, title companies are vital in that process because we get the updates, we keep the ball rolling. Lenders will tell you when certain thresholds have been passed through. I think for the agent, their job is, again, communication. What is your communication through the process? Every little win, there should be an email and a call and a text saying, hey, we are clear to close. Or, hey, the prelim went out and it was totally vanilla. All they owe is taxes and they have a first that they're paying off. Or just like the different milestones, have a milestone email, have a milestone update. Use that as a reason to over communicate with the customer.
Gosh. I thought like milestone and then what it is through the transaction. Like, that could be your signature. Like, we just hit this milestone in the transaction, and that could be a system. Every email is templated and have it just milestone, and then they see each step of the way. It's like, oh, we hit another milestone, because that word people resonate. They know what that means. Like, we just hit a big chunk of what we've been trying to get.
Or you can have a bunch of milestone moment emails that are different templates. PR went out. lenders approved, contingencies removed, clear to close, we're closed. Like different milestone moments throughout the deal.
And then when you have these milestone moments, when's the best time to ask for a referral?
Oh, man.
During these moments. You just hit a milestone. We got clear to close. Anybody else in your world that wants to buy a home, that wants this kind of, piece of the rock, let me know. I'm here to help them too.
Oh, because that's all they're thinking about, right? I mean, I love Rick Ruby for this because Rick Ruby talked about 7 different pillars, and we think about past client referrals, we think about cold calling, we think about open house opportunities. Very few elsewhere have I heard current client referrals, CCRs, okay? So what the heck's a
CCNRs?
No, that's us. That's our, oh my gosh. That's a whole different video. So CCRs, current client referrals. So the buyer you're working with, the seller you're working with, they are going through the loan process. They're going through inspections. They've got termite issues they didn't think they had that they have to pay for. All the things, right? Their whole world is kind of like everywhere they look, it's transaction oriented. So what do you think they're talking to their boys about at golf? What do you think they're talking to the girls about when they're getting their nails done? It's about lending, and the escrow said this.
My God, I had to do this for the lender and the escrow. I had to get my EMD
they're
over.
Just spewing real estate. So when they're with all the girls for wine night and they're spewing all this real estate issues, and Susie says, you know what? Oh my gosh, who are you working with? Because we're looking to get more square footage because we have twins on the way. Bing, referral moment.
Susie's not at wine night then.
Fine, you're focusing on all the right. Hey, you know what? Maybe she's Italian. I don't know. A glass of red wine doesn't hurt, right? That's what I've heard.
I mean, our parents did it. It's fine.
It's a nice.
But I totally get what you're saying because that is so true. I know most women, men probably do it too, but we got to vocally process. And
we got tissues for our real estate issues, man.
Yes, my tagline. We got to have tissues for the real estate issues. But I think about it, when you are going through these things, like you're just talking about, whether it's like not even crazy issues going on, but if you're buying a home, you're telling people, oh my gosh, I'm buying a home, I'm buying my first home, we're upgrading, we're getting a bigger home, we're moving here.
Yeah.
You're talking about it to
like
people.
Real shit. That's what you're talking about because you're going through it. And you bought a property, it's emotional.
Yeah.
It's a roller coaster, and it's coming out to mom, it's coming out to the boys, it's whoever will listen.
Yeah.
So what happens is your current client that you're working with has an opportunity to run into, magically, other people have real estate questions, needs, have desires that they've been wanting to move. They just don't know how to move forward. And so ask them at every milestone, hey, don't forget, you're my eyes and ears out there. Whoever you're talking to that maybe is interested in buying or selling, I'm happy to work with them too.
Ooh, that's good. That was a good, just like that. I would say it just like that. Hey, you're my eyes and ears out there. We're working this together. So anybody else out there that is really looking to buy or sell or make any transactional moves, I want to be their go-to as well, just like I am for you. You're my eyes and ears out there. So thanks for, help me out here. Help me out.
help a sister out, right? And what we hear is, well, Ryan, I bring them the little sold sign and I give the champagne and we do the video and I get the video testimonial and then I ask for referrals. And that's good. That's awesome. But if you ask them along the way, then, because what happens when you close and they get their keys? Thank God that's over. And they aren't thinking about real estate. They were 2 weeks ago when the lender was having this crunch and title needed the signature.
Now they're thinking about how we're going to fix the house. What are we going to put here? What decorations are we going to do here? Where are we going to put the couch? That's where their mind's at now.
Well, and if you do it organically and subtly throughout at every milestone, so the natural, at close, it's more of a natural conversation of like, hey, we've talked about this a lot through the process, but I really try to have my clients replace their transaction with a referral to give me another transaction, right? Or
I
some
love working
version
with
of
you,
that.
so I want a friend that's just like you. So I know you got people. Send them my way. I'd love to help them because this was a great transaction with you.
Yeah, and I mean, in our world, it looks like somebody used, one of our systems or one of our ideas or some of our data, and they had a win with it. It's like, hey, well, thank anybody in your office that you think this might work with, and we could even be better about it.
I mean, we say it pretty often, but we definitely could be better at it. But I know, we say that after all of our meetings. Like, hey, did you get value out of this? Did you? And they're like, yeah. And we're like, hey, anybody in your team, anybody else in your office, your team lead, anybody else that you think this could be a good fit for, we'd love to sit down with them.
Because they're not mind readers, right? And people have life going on. People have lots of life going on. So we have to just verbalize what we would like to see happen. And sometimes it will and sometimes it won't, but we did our part, right? We did, and it was systematized to ask for the referrals. So I love the contract to close. It's vital to keep them updated. It's vital to have good team to make sure that everything runs smoothly. And then it's vital to communicate at all the milestones that you are in business for business and that you can receive their referrals while you still got them in the pipeline, in the throes and emotions of the transaction where they're venting to all their friends. That's when the referrals pop up.
I think that's great. Well, we don't want to overload on systems again.
I know. I'm all stressed out. I need a system for my stress.
Yeah, I mean, there's a system for that, right? We have that.
Meditate.
So, going back part 1, there was the 5 systems we talked about there. Yeah. These new 5 systems, I think, did we hit 4 or 5? What we hit.
We have so many systems coming out of our ears.
So if you guys even just want one idea on a certain system that you think you could tweak or help with, we would love to be that option to be able to help you with that. Because we got systems that we can tweak I think every week we look at each other and like, oh, we need to change this, or we need to
progress, not perfection. Look, I mean, some are better than none, and then more are better than some. Just work your way through it. And the hack, if you made it all the way to the end of the video, Tom says, you go into ChatGPT, give me a system for insert where you need a system, right? Actually, and Chat will give you a bullet pointed checklist system for your buyer pipeline management, your contract to close management, your budget.
Yes. Well, I think he uses the words exactly. Hey, Chat, give me a system for managing my sellers, but make it easy, simple, and something I can do consistently.
He even gives you the prompt.
That's the prompt. I'm pretty sure that's the prompt. Like I said, my
message us. We will send you the link to this awesome podcast.
Yeah, message us. We'll get you that link. We'll send you guys that information. But this was something we really got a lot of value at, so we wanted to share it with you guys.
What was the prompt one more time, roughly?
The prompt was, give me a system for insert X, my open houses, but keep it simple, consistent, or simple and easy, and something I can do consistently.
That's so
something
good.
like that. Yeah, and I put it in for one of ours, and it literally gave me bullet points of things that we could do. So Chat is not taking over our job, but it does help us. It does give us a little more.
It shortens the research to that. Yeah, you know what I mean.
I don't even Google anymore. I go to Chat or like Perplexity. I'm like, I really don't. I don't Google anymore. Everything gets asked there. I think I asked. Never mind, that was a stupid ask that I asked. I'll tell you guys offline. But I asked it about measuring cups the other day because I was cooking. Oh. And it spit out because I was like, I don't have time to figure this out. So I'm just going to chat it. And it told me exactly what it was. And I was like, oh, that's pretty common sense, simple. But yeah.
Oh my gosh, recipe books are obsolete. Why do you need one?
Done.
Yeah.
So sorry, got a little tangent there, but yes, hit us up for this podcast. We'd love to send that. And if you have systems in your business that you could tweak or maybe make better, please let us know, and we'd love to be able to sit and help with that.
Exactly. So we appreciate you guys. We appreciate our role on your team. Until next time, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Haley.
All right, bye.